do we get out of the ecosystem? Like, is it time to get out of this thing? Updates are coming. You was teasing some stuff the last few weeks, months. That's why I put the long in. Right? It's like, okay, he said, got some more things coming, announcements, utility, whatever. I thought he'd get creative. It pumped on that news, then it waned a little bit, and then it pumped again whenever he really revealed like utility, this G Kaito. And for those in the crowd who don't know, like G Kaito is like this mechanism that they're like, okay, AI slop is becoming a problem. We're trying to reward the right people who are giving the right sentiment and like they're driving the right conversation. So just like upping their criteria for who gains mindshare and yaps on the platform. So the question becomes, do we think this mechanism is going to be good? And then does that matter? Everyone, I think, is feeling fatigue from all of this, from InfoFi and like a lot of these yaps and mindshare leaderboards. I think a lot of us are getting disillusioned with it. If I'm just being honest, you see a lot of AI slot bots getting in there and crowding out the leaderboard. If you go to the mindshare on the actual landing page, I don't know that it feels right. Admittedly, I've been off the timeline recently as I've been here on side of the mafia stuff, but prior to me doing that, I didn't feel like it was accurately representative. It's just like whatever the cool new thing is, like TGE wise, like Caldera, right? No one talks about or cares about Caldera, but like Caldera was like top mindshare because enough people were trying to farm the thing so that it crawled up to the actual mindshare leaderboard. So I'm just kind of trying to get your reflections on like where do you think this stuff is going? Because I'm contemplating just like cutting my bags.
I tend to agree with you. I think that you don't see that many top signal accounts trying to hit all the new boards. I think the farming is becoming a bit exhaustive. Filtering out the AI slop, yeah, that's a good take, but obviously then the content will improve, et cetera, et cetera. So it's always going to be a game of trying to beat the algorithm, trying to earn the rewards. You still have massive companies moving into. You have Bybit, was it 100K that they announced, for people talking about their tokenized stock product, mentioning Bybit as well. At the same time, want to bring this up given that we are talking about this. Vo had this post up yesterday. She said, InfoFi is dying for real this time. It's a pretty long post, so I'm not going to read all of that. Just the key points. The hard truth about InfoFi is that 99% of these users are purely extractive. They provide zero value. Kaito farmers are not providing value, growing awareness. Companies want the biggest KOLs. Companies want the mid-sized micro KOLs. Companies want new users. They're paying at minimum 150K for a Kaito leaderboard. No shade to Kaito, what makes it worth 150K in this current model, because most of the InfoFi user base is just not comprised of thought leaders and KOLs, and in-app users or spenders, just extractors. Sure, there's a couple high signal KOLs, but there's more than 80 projects to yap about that nobody has ever heard of. And she goes on to say that yapping about the InfoFi as a large KOL is an easy way to grow a quick following and make some cash, but at what cost? I tend to agree that the offering is like getting way too large. Like, I understand the business model of cutting out the middleman and cutting out the KOL agencies and just having people farm your leaderboard. And maybe for some of the pre-TGE companies, maybe it's like becoming sort of an expectation. In the last run-up, we had the social questing. There was a certain expectation by some of the centralized exchanges, if you wanted to be listed, to be able, I know that from the companies that I'm still advising, to be able to show, look, this is a social questing campaign that we did. We had hundred thousands of wallets, millions and millions of impressions, yada, yada, yada.
Which is ridiculous, by the way.
It is ridiculous, yeah, because it's mostly fake numbers. Maybe, and I don't know this, I need to check in with some of my contacts. Maybe this is now becoming a thing for the projects which are about to TG, that some of the exchanges want to see a certain mindshare. They want to see that you're able to push to the top 3 on Kaito if you have a board, if you want to get listed. Could imagine this being a thing. I still think that Kaito, or the InfoFi meta per se, is a better way to align incentives than running via middlemen and having your KOL campaigns. Do still think that good agencies provide value, but I think it is a better model, but it's far, far away from perfect. I would argue my biggest gripe with the current InfoFi meta, and I'm saying this as someone who's probably like one of its biggest benefiters, given that I have quite a few yaps and stuff, is that the rewards always tend to go to the same people. It's the same circle of 20, 30, 40 KOLs who can push to be at the top of whatever leaderboard they want if they think that the rewards are worth to do so. And it's like very, very hard for others to do that or to even be able to come into a position. I just don't think that this is a very, very sustainable way to do it. And it's not about noise on the timeline and basically, you do your posts and you do your Kato farming post in between. It looks like an ad and essentially it is an ad. I think it's more that CT is way larger than just 30 people. And it's never been so biased to reward the same group of people than it's now the case, in my opinion, with Kato.
I think there's a little bit of adverse selection there too, where it's like the highest quality people, I would say, don't want to explicitly farm or like didn't get to their position by explicitly farming stuff. At least not in like the social sense, right? Like you climb to a certain level for being genuine, for being authentic, for like going where your interests are and whatever. And there is just this like natural recoil that people feel whenever they read what they believe is to be paid content on anyone's feed if like they're following as like a personality. And I think like we can sniff that out a little bit whenever we see that stuff's going on for kind of, yeah, sure, like both of our accounts are large enough that we could probably get on basically any leaderboard that we wanted if we just wanted to do it. But to do so would, one, be out of character, and two, would feel dilutive to our brand equity. So that means people like us, which are like the top quality ones, which I believe, I'm being slobbing on ourselves, I am so glazing too hard here, but like I feel like we are people that would be valuable to basically most companies. And like, we're not going to do that for those reasons. So like, then you're left with people who are doing farming for farming's sake. And then like, is that really valuable? Like, is that worthwhile for the companies to spend money? Which is ultimately what I'm most interested in, right? Like as a company, would you spend the money to do this? Because that's what's making Kaito and Kaito the token, Kaito the product, Kaito the token valuable. Like if we think in the future, companies will believe or continue to believe that this is a valuable spend to then buy the leaderboard, to then like do these buybacks and shit that Kaito does periodically. Obviously, you believes like his token has utility because he did the whole million of his own dollars buyback thing. It's just like, does that matter?
There's other ways to like kind of express that bullishness or that belief in a protocol. I mean, you obviously did it with Mega ETH. You joined the team. ICOB is the same with Proof of Play. And on that announcement, the Pirate token go up 30%. It has come down a bit too, but it's still up 20% over the week. So I think if anything, the entire timeline knows that every KOL, every person who has like enough reach can grind up any leaderboard. And then it isn't like high signal anymore. The high signal things then become someone like yourself, someone like ICO joining a team, becoming part of the team, someone getting involved maybe as an advisor and being very public about that. That signals way stronger than blurting out your posts to climb up on a specific leaderboard, I think.
Yeah, I think we've also seen a post recently of just like people gaming the system where they're just like talking about irrelevant stuff and then putting their name at the bottom of, or any brand at the bottom of it, and then climbing a mindshare leaderboard in that way, just like with totally irrelevant stuff. Hopefully this Kaido mechanism saves some of that. But yeah, I think there's just been like a distrust in that it is actually good at quantifying conversation.